We're here in Columbus, Ohio to see our great uncle.
And his name is Art, and he's 106 years old. So we're here with my grandma, my grandpa, obviously the rest of us know the Jewish explorers, and the relation here with Art Shepherd is he's my grandpa's uncle.
Is anybody home?
Hello, how are you? How are you? Hi, how are you, young? My God, you're getting up in the air there. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Greetings, how are you? Hello, sweetie. How are you?
Good.
You're getting prettier every day.
Thanks.
Isn't that nice?
So Eleanor would like to know what your house was like when you were 6.
When I was 6, the house was a 2-bedroom house on a street called Long Street in Cambridge, Ohio. The bathroom, there wasn't such a thing. You went out to the back of the lot. That's where the John was. And they were building a sewer line in front of our house. And I went out there when I was about 6. I wasn't that old yet. When I went out to watch the guy digging, and I tumbled into the thing, landed on my feet. It was quite a neighborhood. There weren't, once in a while there'd be an automobile go by, but not very often.
What did your cars look like back then?
What did what?
Your cars look like?
Car?
Yes.
Well, the first car my dad had was an old Model T Ford, 1914. And of course, the lights were up here by the windshield. They shone ahead. Of course, they didn't have any, you couldn't wind up the window. You had to kind of up and stick them on in case of rain. And you had to crank it to get it started.
Wow, that's one thing that we certainly do not have to do.
And there were a lot of people. It would backfire every once in a while. A lot of people had broken arms by cranking the car to go.
Jeez, so that's why they stopped that.
And the tires had a tendency to have a hole in them once in a while. And we would go up to Barberton, Ohio to see my dad's father. And on the way up, Mom always made a basket of food, like we're going on a picnic or something, you know, because it was only 80 miles, but you usually had a flat tire on the way. Okay. And then Dad'd have to take the tire off, and he had a pump, and we'd put a patch on the tire, take the pump and fill it with air again, put it back on. Meantime, Mom picks up something to eat.
My dad has a Ford, and all you have to do is hit a button to start the engine. There's nothing like going in the back and tuning a crank to get it to start.
Boy, yeah, they've made a lot
of changes.
What did the phones look like?
Most telephones hung on the wall, and you would have to crank them to get started. And my great-grandmother lived down in the country, and there'd be people had rings, like 3 rings would be your number, 6 rings might be your number, and then when the phone rang for you, yours would ring also. And my great-grandmother, nice little old lady, but when the telephone rang, it didn't matter who it was for. She'd say, my, well, that's too bad. Or and it wasn't even her conversation.
That's funny.
So it'd all be like the same line.
Yeah, one time she told me to go out and ring the bell for the men to come out of the field for lunch. I went out and there were hornets up there, and I got stung on this. And she took a handful of mud and slapped it up there. That pulled the sting out of it, all right.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Didn't know that worked.
Smart lady.
What were your schools like?
My school was, the first school was Miss Wells. And Miss Wells was my first teacher. She was also the principal.
Wow.
And there was one telephone in the building. It was at her desk. And it rang. It was for a teacher up on the second floor. And she went up to tell the teacher she had a call for her. And there was a transom over the door. And I was up on the top of my desk dancing. And she could see me through that. And she came over and shook me till I wet my pants. Now that was the beginning of my school career.
What advice do you have for younger people?
They don't pay attention to it. Well, the first thing, and the one that my dad pounded me all the time, you got to be honest. Honest. And you got to try to help other people. Boy, if I hadn't been honest, my dad would have beat it out of me.
Do you have any suggestions for a young business person?
Young business person,
Yes.
number one is to be honest. You got to be honest. Tell the truth when you make a presentation. You don't have to grease it up with a lot of oily sayings and so on. You stick to the facts. You might spread them a little bit, but not much.
Yeah, do you have any secrets to living to 100?
Well, I did it when I was 100. I think no matter what you do, you got to tell the truth all the time. That's very important. And I think it's also you have to learn to like people and to help people. There are many people that don't have as much on the ball as maybe you do, but they need help from others without it being showful or anything. You just